Have you ever felt it, that quiet, unshakable knowing deep within you, the sense that you were never meant to live an ordinary life? While others follow the current, you feel the pull of a greater tide. Challenges don't crush you, they forge you. Isolation doesn't weaken you, it clarifies you. And every setback somehow becomes a setup for something higher. The most powerful chosen ones rarely begin with applause. They begin with pressure, with tests, with seasons of doubt that would break anyone else. Yet here you are, still standing, still rising, still transforming. That resilience is not accidental, it is evidence. You see patterns others miss. You feel energies others ignore. You sense when something is shifting before the world calls it change. Your intuition sharpens in chaos. Your calm unsettles confusion. And even in silence, your presence speaks. Power, for you, was never about dominance, it was about alignment. The alignment of purpose, courage, and relentless growth. If these words stir something familiar inside you, it is not coincidence, it is confirmation. The signs have always been there. Now, are you ready to recognize them? If yes, like this video, share and subscribe as we dive deeper. 1. You were built in isolation. There is a difference between being alone and being chosen for solitude. Many run from silence because it echoes too loudly with their unhealed thoughts. But you were introduced to isolation early, and instead of collapsing, you transformed. Isolation was never a punishment for you, it was construction. When friendships faded, when rooms grew quiet, when support seemed distant, something unusual happened. You began to hear yourself clearly. Without the noise of opinions, expectations, and distractions, you met the rawest version of who you are. Not the performance, not the mask, the core. And that core was powerful. Solitude forced you to confront your fears without escape routes. It demanded that you answer hard questions. Who are you without validation? Who are you without applause? Who are you when no one is watching? While others built identities around approval, you built yours around truth. Isolation sharpened your perception. It made you observant. It taught you emotional independence. You learned not to beg for energy, attention, or understanding. You became self-sustaining mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There were nights you felt misunderstood, days you wondered why your path felt different, but every moment alone was strengthening muscles others never developed. You cultivated resilience, you mastered self-reflection, you built inner discipline. Now, when life grows quiet, you do not panic, you expand. The world may see solitude as emptiness, but for you, it was a sacred training ground. In silence, you discovered your voice. In stillness, you found your direction. In separation, you forged identity. You were not abandoned. You were assembled. And what was built in isolation cannot be shaken by noise. 2. Pressure transforms you. Instead of breaking you, some people pray for ease. You were designed for intensity. Pressure, for most, feels like suffocation. Expectations tighten, obstacles multiply. The weight becomes unbearable. But when pressure finds you, something extraordinary happens. It activates you. Where others see endings, you sense initiation. The heavier the challenge, the more focused you become. It's as if adversity flips a hidden switch inside you. Your mind sharpens. Your instincts heighten, your distractions fall away. What was meant to overwhelm you instead organizes you. Pressure reveals character, but in your case, it reveals power. There were moments meant to bury you, situations crafted to silence your confidence. Seasons where the odds stacked so high it seemed impossible to rise. Yet every attempt to suppress you only deepened your roots. The weight didn't crush you, it anchored you. Like coal under extreme heat, you don't disintegrate, you transform. The very force applied to destroy you becomes the catalyst for refinement. You gain wisdom through struggle, strength through resistance, strategy through setbacks. Storms don't intimidate you anymore. You've walked through enough of them to understand their secret. They don't come to end you, they come to elevate you. Each one strips away fragility and leaves behind resilience. Each battle removes illusion and sharpens clarity. You don't just endure hardship. You extract lessons from it. You absorb its energy. You recycle its intensity into momentum. That is rare, because surviving is common. Thriving under pressure is uncommon, but transforming because of it, that is the mark of someone built differently. The weight that was supposed to break you became the force that built you. And now, pressure doesn't threaten your power, it proves it. 3. You outgrew people, places, and patterns quickly. Growth has always been your instinct. While others cling to familiarity for comfort, you feel restless when things stop evolving. The moment a room becomes too small for your vision, you sense it. The moment a conversation circles the same low frequency, you feel it. The moment a habit limits your potential, you outgrow it. Not because you think you're better, but because stagnation suffocates you. You were never meant to stay where you have already mastered the lesson, and that makes people uncomfortable. Your evolution forces others to confront their own resistance to change. When you rise, it highlights where they have settled. When you expand, it exposes where they have shrunk. So sometimes they call you distant, sometimes they call you different, sometimes they say you've changed. They're right. You have. You shed old skins quickly, old identities, old beliefs, old versions of yourself that once fit but no longer align. What once felt like home begins to feel like a cage, and instead of shrinking yourself to fit it again, you choose growth, even if growth requires goodbye. That takes courage. Outgrowing people was never about ego, it was about alignment. You cannot pretend to resonate where your spirit no longer connects. You cannot slow your expansion just to make others comfortable. Evolution is not always graceful. It can be lonely. It can be misunderstood. But you have learned something powerful. Every level demands a new version of you, and you are not afraid to become it. You are not attached to who you used to be. You honor it, but you refuse to live there. Because for you, growth isn't optional, it's survival. 4. Your intuition is razor sharp. Before words are spoken, you already feel the truth. You've walked into rooms and sensed the tension beneath polite smiles. You've met people whose energy spoke louder than their introductions. You've felt opportunities shift before circumstances confirmed it. While others wait for visible proof, you operate from something deeper, inner knowing, and it is rarely wrong. Your intuition is not paranoia. It's pattern recognition refined by experience. You notice micro-expressions, subtle tone changes, inconsistencies in behavior, but beyond logic, there's something more, an internal compass that doesn't rely on evidence to alert you. You don't just listen to what people say, you listen to what they don't say. That sensitivity didn't come by accident. It was sharpened through lessons, through betrayal, through observation, through navigating environments where awareness was survival. You learn to read between lines because sometimes the lines lied. Now, your perception feels almost surgical, clean, precise, immediate. When something feels off, it is. When something feels aligned, it flows effortlessly. Others may second-guess themselves into confusion. You've learned to trust that quiet signal inside. It may not always explain itself in words, but it speaks in certainty. This doesn't make you suspicious. It makes you discerning. You don't need loud warnings anymore. A slight shift in energy is enough. A pause in rhythm, a flicker in consistency. Your awareness catches it before your mind finishes processing it. And because you trust your intuition, you move differently. You protect your energy. You choose wisely. You detach early when necessary. You step forward confidently when it feels right. Your power isn't just strength, it's precision. And intuition is the blade that keeps it sharp. 5. You've been misunderstood most of your life. From an early age, you felt it, that subtle distance between how you saw the world and how the world seemed to see you. Conversations that excited others left you uninspired. Questions you asked made people uncomfortable. Dreams you spoke about were met with silence, doubt, or polite smiles. It wasn't that you were wrong. You were just tuned differently. You operate on a frequency that doesn't always translate in ordinary rooms. While others focus on what is, you instinctively see what could be. While they cling to tradition, you question it. While they settle into routine, you sense possibility stretching far beyond it. And that difference often gets mislabeled. They may have called you too much, too deep, too intense, too ambitious, too sensitive, too quiet, too bold. But what they were really describing was expansion in a space that preferred containment. Visionaries are rarely recognized in their early chapters. When you see beyond the present moment, people who are comfortable with the present can feel unsettled. Your perspective disrupts, your insight challenges. Your presence shifts dynamics without you even trying. So you learn to navigate misunderstanding. Sometimes you shrank to fit in. Sometimes you stood firm and stood alone. But through it all, you never fully abandoned your inner knowing. Even when doubted, you sensed there was purpose in your difference. Now you understand. Being misunderstood was not rejection, it was redirection. It kept you from anchoring yourself to spaces too small for your vision. You were never meant to be easily explained. You were meant to be discovered layer by layer, chapter by chapter. And the world often takes time to understand what it cannot immediately categorize. 6. Chaos activates your clarity. When the ground starts shaking, you don't lose your balance, you find it. There's something about disorder that awakens you. While others scramble for control, your breathing steadies. When voices rise in panic, your thoughts grow quieter and more precise. It's as if chaos clears the fog instead of creating it. You don't freeze in crisis, you focus. Moments that overwhelm most people seem to unlock a deeper level of awareness within you. Your senses heighten. You assess quickly. You prioritize instinctively. Emotion does not disappear, but it does not dominate. You become strategic when circumstances demand urgency. This didn't happen by accident. Somewhere along your journey, you were forced to adapt. Perhaps unpredictability was familiar. Perhaps stability was never guaranteed. You learned early that panic wastes power. So you trained yourself consciously or unconsciously to respond instead of react. Now, when everything falls apart, you see structure in the wreckage. You look for solutions while others are still naming the problem. You notice openings hidden inside breakdowns. What feels like disaster to many feels like decision time to you. And decision is where your strength lives. Chaos strips away illusion. It reveals truth quickly. It exposes weaknesses and highlights leadership. In those moments, your mind sharpens like steel. You are not intimidated by pressure, you are oriented by it. People may not always notice this about you until it matters most. But when stability disappears, they look to the calmest person in the room. And more often than not, that person is you. Because when the storm arrives, you don't get lost in it. You become its eye. 7. You trigger people without trying. You don't have to compete. You don't have to boast. You don't even have to speak loudly. Your presence alone is enough. There's something about the way you carry yourself, grounded, aware, evolving, that acts like a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see their reflection. When you walk into a space, you unintentionally highlight contrasts. Your discipline exposes procrastination. Your authenticity unsettles performance. Your ambition awakens dormant dreams in others. Some people feel inspired by this. They see what's possible and feel motivated to rise. They ask questions. They grow. They expand. Others feel threatened. Not because you attack them, not because you judge them, but because your existence challenges the comfort of staying the same. When someone suppresses their potential, encountering someone actively pursuing theirs can feel confronting. You remind them of what they've postponed, what they've avoided, what they've settled for, and that discomfort can turn into projection. They may label you intimidating, arrogant, distant, too much. But often, what they are reacting to is the standard you embody without announcing it. You don't preach growth, you live it. You don't demand respect, you move as if you already respect yourself. That energy is powerful. It disrupts stagnant dynamics. It shifts group hierarchies. It forces authenticity into spaces built on pretense. Without trying, you spark reflection in others, and reflection is rarely comfortable. But understand this, triggering is not the same as harming. You are not responsible for how others process the mirror you unintentionally hold up. Your job is not to shrink so others feel secure. Your job is to remain aligned, because the same presence that unsettles some awakens greatness in others. 8. You feel a calling bigger than logic. There's a quiet conviction inside you that refuses to be silenced. It doesn't always come with details. It doesn't always come with a plan. But it comes with certainty. A deep, unexplainable knowing that your life is meant to ripple beyond the ordinary. You've tried to rationalize it. You've questioned it. You've even attempted to shrink it down to something more practical, more predictable, more acceptable. But every time you imagine playing small, settling, blending in, choosing safety over significance, it feels wrong, constricting, almost suffocating, because you are not wired for containment. This calling doesn't scream. It whispers persistently. It shows up in your restlessness, in your dissatisfaction with average outcomes, in your refusal to fully relax inside mediocrity. Even when life looks fine on the outside, something inside you nudges. There's more. And that more isn't ego. It's expansion. You don't crave impact for applause. You crave it because you feel responsible for your potential. You sense that your experiences, your insight, your resilience, they're not random. They're preparation. Pieces of something larger, assembling behind the scenes. Not having a clear roadmap doesn't scare you the way it scares others. It stretches you, yes, but it doesn't stop you. You understand that vision often precedes visibility. The path reveals itself in motion, not in hesitation. Logic asks for guarantees. Calling asks for courage. And despite the uncertainty, you keep moving. You keep building. You keep believing in something you can't yet fully see. That's not delusion. That's destiny knocking from the inside. 9. You've experienced unfair battles. Life has tested you in ways that often felt undeserved. You faced opposition that made no sense, endured criticism that seemed baseless, and navigated challenges that appeared designed to break you rather than build you. And yet, here you are, still standing, still rising. Powerful spirits always attract resistance. The brighter your light, the more shadows it casts. The higher your destiny, the heavier the tests. What felt unfair was never a mistake, it was preparation. Every obstacle, every curveball, every inexplicable hardship was a crucible refining your resilience, sharpening your judgment, and amplifying your strength. Unfair battles awaken clarity. They teach lessons that comfort never could. They reveal allies and expose pretenders. They illuminate the depth of your courage, the tenacity of your will, and the scope of your endurance. While others crumble under pressure, you discover that opposition is an indicator of potential, not punishment. You've learned to move with grace amidst adversity, to stand firm without retaliation, and to extract insight from conflict instead of despair. You've recognized that life doesn't test you randomly. The universe measures capacity against destiny, and you've been called to rise higher than most could imagine. The battles were never meant to define you. They were meant to awaken you. Now, when resistance comes, you don't flinch. You don't ask, why me? You understand. Every challenge is a signpost, a calibration, a signal that your purpose is growing, that your power is expanding, and that your journey is far from ordinary. You don't just survive unfairness, you emerge stronger, wiser, unstoppable. 10. You keep rising no matter what. This is the ultimate truth of your power. No matter what life throws at you, you rise. Every setback, every heartbreak, every obstacle that tried to stop you has become a stepping stone. Even when circumstances seemed insurmountable, even when the world appeared determined to hold you down, you refused to stay buried. You've been humbled, tested, delayed, and even doubted sometimes by others, sometimes by life itself. Yet with every challenge, something inside you strengthens. Your spirit doesn't bend, it evolves. Your vision doesn't fade, it clarifies. And your determination doesn't waver, it intensifies. Rising isn't just survival, it's transformation. Each rise carries the weight of lessons learned, the depth of wisdom earned, and the fire of resilience forged in adversity. While many are content to recover, you rise with purpose. You rise with strategy. You rise with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing nothing outside of you has the power to define your limits. This is why the signs are undeniable. Your life isn't a series of random events. Every trial, every resistance, every delay was shaping a force that refuses to be ordinary. You've become unstoppable not because life allowed it, but because you refused anything less. And this rising is contagious. It inspires others, commands respect, and shifts reality itself. You don't just return to where you were, you ascend beyond it. No matter how many times the world tried to humble you, distract you, or slow you down, you rose, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. You are living proof that true power is not given, it is earned through relentless rising. The signs have always been there, whispering in your life, guiding your steps, and quietly declaring your power. They were never coincidences. Every trial, every moment of clarity, every challenge and triumph was a signal, a marker on the path that only you could walk. You were built in isolation, forged under pressure, and tempered through experiences that others could not endure. Your intuition pierces illusions. Your vision reaches beyond the ordinary. Your evolution makes you a force that cannot be contained. You've been misunderstood, tested, and even opposed without reason, but each obstacle only revealed the depth of your resilience. Chaos sharpens your mind, and the world feels your presence whether it is ready or not. You feel the call of destiny more strongly than logic could ever explain, and you rise again and again, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. This is not mere luck, it is proof. Proof that your path is extraordinary, that your purpose is undeniable, and that your power is inherent. You are not just chosen, you are exceptional. You do not wait for greatness to find you. You embody it, radiate it, and command it. The world may not yet understand you, but that is the way of all true chosen ones. You are here to lead, to transform, and to leave an imprint that cannot be erased. Your time is now.